Syntech Defense 40 Smith & Wesson. Is that the ticket? And this is a 175 grain hollow point, and is a segmenting hollow point. It's supposed to break up into 4 different pieces. And in light of my recent testing with the 9mm and the 45 Syntech Defense, with it not performing very well, and by the way, that was sent over by one of my Patreon supporters, David. He sent over some 40 Smith & Wesson now to see if that performs better than the 9mm and the 45 ACP. So I'm going to run this test through my 5-inch barrel M&P 40 2.0 and my 3.2-inch barrel Taurus G2C in 40 Smith & Wesson. And we'll see if that performs better than the 9mm and the 45, which that didn't perform very well at all. The 9mm did okay, but the 45 did not break apart at all. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. Then I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic gel test. So I'm going to go into plain 10% clear ballistics to see what the best potential these are, see if we actually get some fragmentation the way they're supposed to perform out of those 2 different barrel lengths. Then I'm going to do something a little bit different here. My Patreon supporter wanted to see just a straight up sternum shot, which would mean we're not going to hit a pectoral muscle simulation. So what I have here is 4 layers of sweatshirt material directly on the back of, or on the front of, a 1/4 inch of medium density fiberboard. We're going to do that right in the front there, and this would also kind of represent a skull as well. So we'll do that right on the front, and then we'll have some back rib simulation in the back as well. So we'll do a plain clear ballistic shot, then kind of a little bit different real world simulation, and then I will shoot at steel target and see how accurate this stuff is. So let's get started with this test. All right, first up, we'll run this through the 5-inch barrel, and this is rated at 1,000 feet per second, and that is through a 4-inch barrel. So we should see an increase with a 5-inch barrel above 1,000 feet per second. If we don't see that, something's weird. Something weird's going on. So let's see what we get here with this 40 Smith & Wesson through the 5-inch barrel. 1,014, 1,010, 1,007, 1,006, 1,017. This malfunction, it didn't feed, this is a very reliable pistol. I've got maybe 5 malfunctions in 5 years with this. That's weird. So we're not that much above the rate of velocity. Now I'm going to use this in our 3.2-inch barrel here. See how close we get to 1,000 feet per second in this. $954, $954, $962, $960, $962. So that is very respectable velocity, and it is very consistent velocity. In fact, the velocity was very consistent in both pistols. So I am liking that, but it is kind of strange that it had a malfunction in one of my most reliable pistols. Let's start our ballistics gel block and see how this round does out of these 2 different barrel lengths. All right, our first shot's going to be into plain clear ballistics. This will give us our best potential for this round to actually perform how it's supposed to perform. And we did hit rated velocity, at least out of a 5-inch barrel. So if it doesn't perform out of this, that would be a little weird. So we'll see what we get here with the 40 through the 5-inch barrel. All right. Yeah, that broke apart. I'm just going to do 2 shots in this gel block. So I'm going to go up and over a little bit so that these fragments hopefully don't intersect. So, short barrel. Let's go take a look. All right, so we can see that, 950, 960, not enough velocity out of that short barrel to work. You got to hit that rated velocity for it to work. And we did hit that rated velocity out of the 5-inch barrel. We have 3 different pieces there from the 5-inch barrel, and then that core went to about 16 3/4 inches. But our same round with just, 40-50 feet per second less, no fragmentation, pretty good amount of over penetration. Got about 25 1/4 inches, so that definitely could pass through an average size individual. I honestly, I'm saying that, but I don't think it would, because when we put rib simulation in there, that does tend to change everything, and I think it wouldn't over penetrate with the rib simulation there. So let's set this all back up with our rib simulation, and we're going to do back ribs, but we're going to do the front, a straight on sternum shot, and we'll see how these do now. All right, now our sternum shot. So it's going to be kind of like this type of a thing where there's a little fabric, there's not much else, and then you hit something hard. So, my Patreon supporter was thinking maybe these would work a little bit better in that circumstance. He just kind of wanted to see how these would perform that way. So we'll try it through the 5-inch barrel. Let's see how this does. All right, now let's try it through the 3.2-inch barrel. Let's go take a look. All right, that did not perform very well at all with either of these. So we'll take a look at our rib simulation. I actually did not put in the back rib simulation. I probably should have done that, but I think this will work. Because we were not going to get fragmentation here anyway. By the time we reach this, there's no way there'd be enough velocity for those to expand anyways. So this test is a little bit different how I'm going to read all these numbers, but yeah, this went right through, just straight through as if they were an FMJ or something like that. I'll put this back in place. We'll take a look at our penetration numbers. With the 5-inch barrel, even after going through that, we hit 30 inches of penetration. That would, even without that back grip simulation in there, I think that would zip right through somebody. This might not. We're at about 22.5. That probably would not completely pass through an average size individual, but yeah, just interesting overall. I've tested the 9mm, the 45, and now the 40, and I'm just not seeing anything consistent about this ammo at all. So now let's shoot the steel, just see how the stuff shoots for fun. And first, let's pull these out of the block. We'll take a close-up look at these bullets and then the bullets that were in the other block. All right, so here's a close-up look at these bullets. I believe these are the ones through the plain gel here. With the one that hit, a little over 1,000 feet per second, it performed as advertised. And with the 9mm, I had this problem where it broke up into 4 pieces, but I can only recover 3. I don't know where the other piece went. But yeah, these things will break up. Here's the base of the first shot in the plain gel with the 5-inch barrel, and they break up and into pieces like they're supposed to. But just dropping down probably 40 feet per second, that's all you get. No performance at all. Now going through that sternum shot simulation, I don't know which one of these is which. I didn't mark them because it really doesn't matter at this point because they both did terrible. There's no real difference to them. So just not very good overall, at least for defense. That's a close-up look at those bullets. All right, 14 yards from the target, which is 42 feet from my marker here. I'm just going to pop these off as fast as I can hit the target and see how these things shoot. So we'll try them through the 5-inch barrel. I'm not getting much of a sight picture. I'm just kind of quickly seeing that front sight picture just to see how they feel. And those have very low recoil out of that 5-inch barrel. I'll try it through the little subcompact here. You know, it's shootable. I'm not nearly as accurate with it out of this, but just for fun now, you know, I don't have any respect for this ammo. I'm just going to back it up just for fun, just to plink at the target from some distance and see how they do. All right, 75 yards from the target. I'm back this far just because I haven't done this in quite some time. And these rounds have very consistent velocity, and they're hollow points. So those are two things that create very consistent accuracy at distance. It should anyways. So let's just see what I can do here, see how accurate I can be with these. So from our 5-inch barrel, see how these do. 75 yards. All right, so yeah, pretty much every one of those shots that I missed, I could feel myself jerk the trigger. It was all on me. So the ammo itself is very accurate ammo. So I think that's the good purpose for this ammo. I wouldn't use it for defense, but I think it's a pretty good target ammo that might simulate your carry ammo a little bit better in terms of accuracy, especially at distance. So I'm gonna try it to this little 3.2-inch barrel. I don't know what to expect with such a short barrel, but I think it'll hit if I aim center mass. So let me try this pistol. That's pretty accurate ammo out of this even. So that's how I'm going to review this ammo as target ammo. And as target ammo, I think it's not bad. It's not bad. It did pretty well for accuracy and consistency of velocity and all of that. So yeah, not bad at all. But when we're looking at it as a defensive round, forget about it. There is absolutely no reason why you should use this stuff for defense. You know, I think Federal is pretty much the best ammo company nowadays. They put out some of the best ammo out there. HST is probably the best law enforcement round in all of my testing. The Punch is the best economy round in all of my testing. And there's a whole bunch of other rounds that Federal produce that are very good. So it's really out of character for them to produce this stuff. It's not that good of ammo for defense. I would not use it. You know, I'm a ballistic tester telling you I would never use this stuff. You have so many better options out there. You know, you can get 165 grain HSTs and be done out of any barrel length. You know, don't need to waste your time. Just get some 165 grain HSTs or 165 grain gold dots. That seems to be the best. A bullet weight and a nice bonded or banded bullet. That'll do well out of all barrel lengths. So, not so good here. So, again, thank you to my Patreon supporter David for sending this stuff over. It's good that we at least know now. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like. Thanks for watching.